What if I told you the best revenge isn't plotting some grand comeback? It's not getting even, and brace yourself, it's not even justice. Nope, the ultimate revenge is something much quieter, but far more devastating. It's becoming so untouchable they won't even recognize you anymore. Let's be honest, you've been there, wronged, betrayed, undermined, and there's that little voice inside whispering, plot twist, burn it all down. Believe me, I've heard that voice too. But here's the problem with revenge, the way most people think of it. It's a trap dressed up as freedom. You think you're breaking their power over you, but really, you're handcuffing yourself to their nonsense. And trust me, no one looks good in those cuffs. The Stoics figured this out way before we did. Marcus Aurelius, yep, the emperor guy, once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Translation: don't lower yourself. Rise so high they get a nosebleed just thinking about you. In this video, I'll share the Stoic way to turn pain into power, not the kind of revenge that drains you, but the kind that sets you free and leaves them wondering how you got so peaceful. By the end of this, you'll have the tools to erase their grip on you and write a new story, one where you win without even trying. So, if you're ready to go from wounded to unstoppable, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and let's begin. Chapter 1: Why Traditional Revenge is a Trap. Let me tell you about the time I almost got into a full-blown feud over a parking space. Yep, a parking space. There I was, pulling into the lot at my favorite coffee shop, small place. Only a handful of spots, and just as I'm easing in, this guy in a monster truck swoops in out of nowhere and slides right into the space. No blinker, no courtesy wave, nothing. I was halfway in already. He looked right at me, gave me this smug little grin like he'd just won something, and I'll admit it, every molecule in my body wanted payback. Slash his tires? No, too extreme. Block him in? Tempting. Key the side of his truck? I'd never, but the thought flashed through my mind for half a second. And then I thought of something else. Me, standing there, spending the rest of my morning fuming about this guy while he's inside sipping his latte, completely unaware that I'm outside rehearsing a revenge plot like I'm in some kind of action movie. Who really wins there? Not me, that's for sure. I'm the one stuck with a pounding heart, sweaty palms, and a ruined day. He's living his life, I'm living in his world. That, my friend, is what traditional revenge does to you. It tricks you into thinking you're reclaiming power when, in reality, you're handing it over on a silver platter. You become an actor in their story, not yours. You react, you don't act. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who managed to stay cool-headed even when the world around them was falling apart, understood this better than anyone. They believed the real loss isn't in being wronged, it's in allowing yourself to be consumed by that wrong. Seneca, who advised emperors and lived under the rule of the infamous Nero, said something profound. No one can harm you without your permission. At first glance, it sounds almost naive, right? Like, sure, Seneca, tell that to the guy who just keyed my car. But give it a minute, and you'll realize he wasn't talking about physical harm. He was talking about emotional harm, mental harm, the stuff that festers inside us long after the event is over. The moment we let someone's actions dictate how we feel, we've handed them the keys to our peace of mind. And spoiler alert, they're not giving them back. See, when we get wronged, the first thing we often want is justice. And by justice, we usually mean something a little spicier. We want the person who hurt us to feel what we felt, to suffer like we suffered. And that's understandable. There's a primal logic to it. You slap me, I slap you back, an eye for an eye. It's been coded into us since our ancestors were fighting over fire. But the problem with that? It keeps the fight going. Nobody wins. We just keep trading blows. And at some point, you're not sure who started it, but you're definitely sure you're exhausted. Let's get into a little psychology for a second. When someone wrongs you, your brain's amygdala fires up. That's the part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response. It gets you ready for battle. Your heart races, adrenaline surges, and logic takes a backseat. You become reactive. You stop thinking long-term and start thinking about the next move. How can I make them pay? But here's the thing. The amygdala doesn't care about what's actually good for you. It's like that one friend who encourages you to send the angry text at 2:00 a.m. It's impulsive, and if you let it run the show, you'll end up burning bridges, making bad decisions, and, more importantly, staying emotionally attached to the person who wronged you. Stoicism offers a different path, not an easy one, but a powerful one. It teaches you to step back, take a breath, and ask, who do I want to be in this moment? Do I want to be the person who carries this anger around like a backpack full of bricks? Or do I want to be the person who shrugs, smiles, and gets on with their life freer? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Think about that. If someone lies to you, the best revenge isn't lying back. It's being radically honest. If someone disrespects you, the best revenge isn't disrespecting them. It's living in a way that demands respect without saying a word. That's not just Stoic wisdom. That's psychological gold. When you refuse to stoop to their level, you're not just taking the high road because it's morally superior. You're taking the high road because it's the road where you're in control. You're not reacting, you're choosing. And choice is where your power lies. Let me give you another example. A friend of mine, let's call her Lisa, went through a nasty divorce. Her ex spread rumors, tried to turn mutual friends against her, even dragged her name through the mud on social media. At first, she wanted revenge. She drafted emails, text messages, whole speeches. But then she stopped. She asked herself, what happens if I engage? The answer, more drama, more hurt, more energy wasted. So she did something radical. She blocked him everywhere. She didn't respond to anything he said. She lived her life like he didn't exist. A year later, she's thriving, new job, new relationship, peace. Meanwhile, he's still telling the same old stories, but no one's really listening anymore. Lisa didn't win by fighting. She won by not playing the game. And that's the secret. Traditional revenge makes you think the only way to win is to fight back. Stoicism shows you a better way. Step out of the ring entirely. Now, I'm not saying you should be a doormat. Stoicism isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about knowing where your energy belongs. Sometimes setting a firm boundary is the right move. Sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. But what you don't do is let anger make the decision for you. You don't let someone else's actions write your story. So, the next time someone wrongs you, whether it's cutting you off in traffic or betraying your trust, pause, take a deep breath, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? And then remember this, the greatest revenge isn't payback. It's not hatred. It's not even justice. The greatest revenge is living so well, so fully, and so free of their influence that they become irrelevant. You don't need to burn their house down. You just need to build yours so bright they can't help but notice it shining from a distance. And if you're wondering about that guy who stole my parking spot, I let it go, got back in my car, drove to another cafe, found a better spot, had an even better coffee. And you know what? I never thought about him again. Well, until now, but this time, I'm smiling. If what you just heard resonated with you, give this video a like too. And don't forget to subscribe, because every time I discover a new perspective on life, I want you to be the first to hear it. Chapter 2: The Stoic Formula for True Revenge. I once worked with a guy named Kevin. And if your brain just conjured up a picture of an overly confident, slightly smug coworker who always had something passive-aggressive to say at meetings, well, congratulations, you've met Kevin. He was the kind of person who would accidentally forget to CC you on important emails, then act shocked when you weren't in the loop. The guy who'd crack a harmless joke about your work ethic in front of the boss. Classic Kevin. At first, I'll admit, I wanted revenge. Oh, I fantasized about it. I imagined catching him in a mistake during a big presentation and calling it out so smoothly it would leave the whole room gasping. Or maybe sending him a long, scathing email that would live in company legend. But then I stopped and thought, what exactly am I doing here? Why am I wasting time choreographing a takedown of someone who, frankly, isn't even thinking about me when he's sipping his morning coffee? And that's when the Stoic light bulb switched on. I realized I was giving him rent-free space in my head. So instead, I did what the Stoics would do. I took a breath, I stepped back, and I learned to master my response. The first step I discovered is mastering your emotions. It's the cornerstone of Stoic revenge, maybe of life itself. Marcus Aurelius, who, by the way, ran an entire empire and somehow still found time to keep a journal, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line hit me harder than Kevin's friendly critiques because he was right. My frustration, my simmering anger, totally within my control. Kevin's behavior? Not so much. And that's where most of us get tripped up. We think, if we can just fix them, we'll feel better. But revenge, at least the kind most of fantasize people about, is reactive. It's giving them emotional the wheel and letting them drive you straight into a ditch emotional. Psychologists call this emotional hijacking. It's what happens when someone pushes your buttons, and suddenly, you're not you anymore. You're a bundle of rage, indignation, and sweaty palms. You say things you regret. You do things you can't take back. And afterward, you feel even smaller than before. That's not revenge. That's self-sabotage. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the greatest flex in any situation isn't retaliation, it's indifference. Not cold, heartless indifference, not the I don't care about anything kind, but the powerful, grounded kind of indifference that says, you don't get to decide how I feel today. Imagine being so in control of your emotions that when someone tries to insult you, it lands with all the impact of a ping-pong ball hitting a brick wall. That's Stoic power. Every time you don't react, every time you stay calm instead of blowing up, you're quietly winning. And not just the moment you're winning the whole game. But let's be real, mastering your emotions isn't easy. I'm not going to pretend I turned into a Zen monk overnight. There were days I wanted to tell Kevin exactly what I thought of his helpful suggestions. But instead of reacting, I practiced something better. I redirected that energy. And this is where the second step comes in, excelling beyond them. This is the part most people skip. They think revenge is about making the other person feel bad. The Stoics, and frankly, anyone who's truly won at life know better. The best revenge isn't hurting them. It's becoming someone they can't touch anymore. And I don't mean physically, I mean emotionally, socially, mentally. Rising so far above the noise that they can't even see you from where they're standing. Let me give you an example that's not plastered all over history textbooks. We all know Nelson Mandela, sure, But have you ever heard of Eleanor Roosevelt? She was born into one of New York's elite families, married Franklin D. Roosevelt, and ended up becoming one of the most respected and influential women of the 20th century. But behind the scenes, she faced brutal personal betrayals. Her husband's affair was one of many emotional wounds. She could have retaliated. She could have gone the route of bitterness and public scandal. But she didn't. Instead, she transformed her life. She became an advocate for human rights. She chaired the committee that drafted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. She became such a force for good that even her enemies had to respect her. That's how you excel beyond someone. You build a life so big, so meaningful, that their betrayal becomes a footnote. For me, that meant pouring myself into work I cared about, getting better at my craft, strengthening relationships with people who genuinely respected me. Pretty soon, I wasn't worried about Kevin anymore because I was too busy succeeding. And let me tell you, nothing makes a petty person squirm like watching someone they tried to hold back run right past them, smiling as they go. But the Stoics take it one step further. They understood something deep, something most of us miss in the heat of the moment. There's a point where you have to leave it all behind. That's step 3, walking away and leaving the rest to fate. This is hard, I know. We want closure. We want karma to have a clear, immediate consequence. But the world doesn't always work that way. The Stoics believed that fate, or nature, as they called it, has its own way of balancing things out. Call it karma, call it divine justice, call it natural consequences, whatever it is. It works on its own timeline, not ours. And waiting around for it only wastes your time. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't sit there waiting for the universe to teach them a lesson. Live in such a way that you don't need them to learn anything. Live so well, so fully, that their names don't even come up in your story anymore." This is the hardest part for most people. We cling to our anger because it makes us feel like we're doing something, like we're holding them accountable by holding on to the grudge. But the truth is, it's like carrying a backpack full of rocks and hoping they'll feel the weight. They won't. You're the one stuck carrying it. When I finally decided to let go of what Kevin did, it wasn't because I suddenly thought he was a great guy. It wasn't because I felt all warm and fuzzy inside. It was because I realized holding on to that grudge was exhausting, and it wasn't doing a thing to him. I was wasting energy that could have gone into my family, my friends, my future. So I left him to karma, and I focused on building a life I was proud of. And here's the kicker. When you do this, when you master your emotions, excel beyond them, and leave them behind, you become someone they can't hurt anymore. You become someone they can't even reach. You win by not playing. Now, let me clarify something. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Stoicism isn't about being passive. It's about choosing your battles wisely. Sometimes you need to set boundaries. Sometimes you need to have hard conversations. But you do it from a place of strength and clarity, not from rage or revenge. You choose actions that serve your life, not reactions that drain it. Okay, I'll admit it. Forgiveness isn't the flashy revenge we daydream about, but it just might be the most powerful move you've got. Forgiveness isn't about singing Kumbaya and hugging it out with the person who hurt you. It's not about pretending it didn't happen or handing them a free pass back into your life. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, is about you. It's about taking the weight off your own shoulders, the heavy backpack full of anger, resentment, and mental reruns of what they did to you, and setting it down for good. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like your enemy." And carrying around bitterness, plotting revenge in your head, that's being like them. That's letting their wrongdoing live rent-free in your mind. And believe me, they're not paying utilities. The Stoics weren't big fans of grudges. They saw them as chains we willingly wrap around our own necks. Epictetus taught that the things outside our control, what other people do, say, or think, shouldn't disturb our peace. But if we keep replaying their offense, if we let it chew on us from the inside out, we're giving them power they no longer deserve. Forgiveness, then, isn't for them, it's for you. It's like unlocking a prison door and realizing the prisoner was you all along. The person who hurt you doesn't have to know you forgave them. Heck, they don't even need to deserve it. But you deserve peace. You deserve to be free. And here's the twist: forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. Oh no, you don't have to invite them back to the barbecue. Your peace has a guest list, and not everyone gets a seat at the table. You can learn the lesson without living in the pain. You can protect your boundaries without hardening your heart. The Stoics would say, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. And that's what forgiveness is. A quiet inner decision to stop carrying poison around in your veins, hoping it will hurt someone else. It's choosing your own freedom over their punishment. So, yes, forgive. Release yourself from that burden. But remember, just because you've forgiven them doesn't mean you're opening the door for a second round. Forgive, learn, and move forward lighter, wiser, and free. So, if you're sitting there nursing a grudge, plotting how to get back at someone who wronged you, take a breath. Ask yourself, what would serve me better, spending my energy proving a point to someone who may not even care, or using that energy to build a life so strong, so beautiful, that they become irrelevant? The answer is clear, and it's been clear for thousands of years. The Stoics figured it out long before we did. But you don't have to be an emperor or a philosopher to live it. You just have to be willing to choose yourself over your anger, your future over your pride, your peace over your need to win. And you know what? That's the best revenge of all. So here it is, the final Stoic truth about revenge. The best revenge isn't anger. It's not plotting the perfect comeback or wasting your time rehearsing speeches in the shower. It's proving, every single day, that no one, not them, not their betrayal, not their pettiness, has the power to break you. The moment you stop chasing revenge and start chasing your own greatness, that's when you win. And here's the kicker, they'll see it. Oh, they'll see you rising, living well, laughing more, sleeping peacefully, while they're still playing old games you quit long ago. That's your mic drop. So, I want to ask you, what's the one thing you're going to do differently from today on? What's your first move in this new chapter where you hold all the power? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And hey, if this hit you in the heart, if you felt that little spark that says, yeah, I'm done letting them take up space in my life, then it's time. Hit that subscribe button. Join me. We're building something stronger here, a community of people who rise above, who live fully, and who refuse to be defined by what happened to them. Because true power, it's not in revenge. It's in response. And the life you build from here, that's the victory they'll never get over.